So who is they? I'm specifically talking about the tech companies, Meta, Spotify, Netflix, etc. The ones that you're constantly consuming services from. And put simply and straight to the point, the more you use them, the more they get paid. They are corporations, they have shareholders, so they have an obligation to create as much value for them as possible, and that's their priority. They could not give a fuck about the other issues like reduced attention spans or other cognitive problems. These are just things that we talk about amongst ourselves as users. The sad reality is that the cost to you and society at large just isn't that important to them. Instead, their focus is on how to get into your brain and find ways to make sure that you stay on their platform as long as possible so that they can advertise to you and generate revenue. And if you're a social media user, you'll know that the meta now is short form content. It's been implemented across every platform, YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram. Before they used to have clear distinctions between them, but notice that they've got this commonality now where they all use short form content, and the reason for that is because it just does the best. It's the form of content that can take you through the full range of emotions within the shortest amount of time, really messing with your dopamine system and getting you hooked onto it. And this is where a vicious cycle begins, where you start to outsource all your thinking to what you're consuming online, the services you're using, and then you start to lose the capability for original thought. Just know that if you don't properly engage with your own voice, your thoughts, your needs, you will have no alternative than to use these services. If you don't learn to socialize with people, you will replace that need with social media. If you don't learn to attract a partner and navigate relationships, you will replace that need with porn. If you don't create and share stories with others, you will watch mass-produced garbage on Netflix. Can you see now why these companies would be incentivized to keep you without originality and purpose? You become the perfect consumer for them. You fill all these gaps with their services. Side note, by the way, I'm not completely against entertainment. I love Breaking Bad, for example, and I'm really glad I experienced it. But just understand that when you mass produce these shows, the entertainment, the quality drops overall and it just becomes garbage. And it's like you're trying to fish with a huge net and you're dragging in a bunch of garbage as well. And the gems are always few and far in between. So chances are the shows that you're binging are just trash and not helping you in the slightest. Just to give you another example, I was discussing this with a friend recently about how with older generations listening to music, they would set that time aside as a hobby where they'd sit in a room and really feel the music, like do nothing else, just sit and just feel it. But compare that and contrast that to Gen Zers now where it's just plugged in AirPods all the time, wherever they go, all the time. It just makes me ask the question, are we really experiencing it in the same way, the way it's supposed to be? Or are we just consuming for the sake of it? And that's the point I'm trying to get across, is that we've got these degraded and synthetic versions of real things, and they don't do a good job of replacing the underlying need. So no matter how much you consume of it, it still leaves you feeling hollow because it's not real. You might think this is ironic because you're watching this on the type of platform that I'm criticizing, and it is in a way, but it's also a compromise. So YouTube is still the home of long form content as long as you stay away from the short section. And even though Insta and TikTok allow long videos now, the risk of you getting caught in the scrolling trap is just too high. So that's why YouTube is like the home of my content. Part of my philosophy that I discuss in my guides is that you can't go from 100 to 0 overnight. There will inevitably be some middle ground along the way, and this is what it looks like. Watching content that rebuilds and reframes your mind so that you can eventually move away from social media, or at least have control over what you consume. I still have these platforms and I still use them, but I have made a mindset shift that fundamentally changes the way I interact with them, and I'll show you. I'd always name this folder socials or something like that, but now it's Creator Studio, and my intentions are clear from the offset over what purpose these platforms serve for me, not me serving them. See how the control is flipped. I've also deleted my old accounts and made new ones as a creator, and now my algorithm is refreshed and shows me positive content that aligns with my mindset now. And although that is a slippery slope that will still lead to the same bad outcomes over time, for now it's still an improvement to the absolute slop that was on my old feeds. No win is too small here. Every improvement counts, especially when you're up against an addiction you've had for a decade or more. I've basically unlocked a whole new use case for these apps. The way I interact with them now has been changed forever. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's that you should just start creating. It doesn't have to be videos like this. It could be words on a page, a reflective journal, a short story, just something. Create for the sake of creation, because it's the first step in unplugging from the cycle of constant consumption. It's also the start to having original thoughts again, not ones that are just fed to you by an algorithm. If this video resonated with you and you're serious about completely transforming your relationship with content consumption, I highly recommend reading my second guide, Digital Discipline. It started as a plan for myself, and I've followed the steps in this even before I started posting content, and it's directly led to a shift where I've gone from forever consumer to a creator in a relatively short space of time. It's the blueprint I've followed to make it happen, and still recap to this day to track my progress, make sure I'm on the right track. I hope this video helped you. Subscribe for more.